yet again to Minions and Misfits, the off-kilter actual play TTRPG podcast, where we are currently playing a bunch of fancy NPCs in a D&D starter town, the town of Pearlsfield. And as always, I am joined by my fellow hooligans.
That's the appropriate term.
I concur.
Hooligans.
Dylan.
Hello.
Cam.
What's up?
And Sam.
Hi.
Don't love that energy.
I'm
we're
so
bringing to the
excited.
table.
I'm so excited.
Sorry, let me try it again.
Oh, no, that was the worst audio I've ever heard.
I would like to personally apologize to our editor, Rusty. Oh, man. Well, before we dive in to tonight's Chapter 4, we have Question Corner Part 3. What?
The question corner.
Yeah.
We need, like,
with 2 Qs.
It needs its own theme at this point.
I need to get Rusty a little music tag.
Little jingle.
Hey.
But this time we're talking about what? Yeah, what's what? What? Before I distract myself further.
Are you okay?
Dumb wordplay. No.
minor stroke.
So we are just going to make up some...
Welcome to Chapter 4. What?
I hope that'll fit. We're going to make up some what's around Pearlsfield. Some things, when you think of Pearlsfield, you think of what? When I visited Maine a couple years ago, people think of lighthouses, but I also realized they're big into blueberries and whoopie pies.
Ah, yes, Maine, the Kentucky of the North.
I loved it. It was great. So what are some what's of Pearlsfield? Other than, obviously, pearly cotton.
No, I thought of another pearl fun thing, because I was thinking of, like, regional drinks, and I was thinking, like, tapioca pearls with, like, a little boba kind of action. Yeah, they have, like, these, like, pearly drinks.
That's a good idea.
Pearly boba.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boba was invented here in this world.
Mm-hmm. This is the only D&D world to have boba.
But they'll call it pearl tea. Does that sound good?
Yeah, pearl tea, for sure.
Tea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are some other what's?
Okay. I feel like just for the sake of flavor, we have to say another, like, the church. What does the church actually look like? Is that fair? And so I imagine kind of a dignified, albeit simple, stone structure with wood on the inside. Everything is kind of this nice, I don't know, woods. So kind of this nice light brown. There's kind of intrinsic designs all over, not necessarily very elegant, but just very cared for. I believe like the history of the town could probably be seen in the artwork in the chapel. Were we calling it the chapel? We were calling it something, and I don't remember what.
I was calling it the temple, and I know we talked about it in our where last time a little bit.
Oh. I also imagine kind of very pretty but simple stained glass. But I can do another thing if we want something a little bit more out of the wheelhouse. I can add something else.
What about something attached to the chapel? We'll just call it the chapel.
The chapel?
Yeah.
I like the chapel.
That's probably what we came up with last time and we forgot. What if there's something attached, like what's the graveyard like?
You know, I honestly don't imagine the graveyard being very odd. I feel like there's maybe 1 or 2 graves that are kind of sketchy, that every once in a while a zombie has to be killed to try to come out of it. But
I was going to say, there's only one ghost, but he's like a really chill guy.
He's been caring for this graveyard for millennia, and he's not stopping now.
But in the normal time, I imagine it's somewhere that people can kind of have a quiet walk, or like a pensive walk, and so the grass is a little bit overgrown, but it is cared for, generally speaking. But yeah, it's right alongside there. It's not, I guess, the creepy type of graveyard. It's very much a simple one.
Like a pensive.
Yes.
It's a nice garden kind of place.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It's a place for quiet contemplation.
Yes, exactly that.
I like this what. If you gotta think, you go to the graveyard.
My what kind of combines a what and a whom, because I had a great idea that I've borrowed from a friend of mine, but it's from an old D&D campaign of ours. The what is, of course, every D&D starting town has to have what? A general store. A store where the adventuring party can sell their loot and buy slightly better base tier armor and weapons that aren't chipped or made of wood.
In general. Yeah, generally speaking.
Generally speaking, yes. And in Pearlsfield, the general store is supplied by a well-known and respected and maybe a little bit feared merchant family called the Bashmores, who are an orc clan family who descended from an orcish warband that discovered a cache of rings of intelligence. That is, rings that are enchanted to enhance the intelligence of the wearer, which turned them from a bunch of warlike barbarians to a juggernaut of trade and mercantilism in the region
From
wherein
Viking to
Pearlsfield is
Stock
located.
Kings.
Yeah.
This.
Aw, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, what's my thing?
The Bashmore estate being located kind of outside of Pearlsfield proper because they appreciate their privacy.
Can they sell T-shirts that say like "orc at work"?
Always
Spelled
at
with a
work,
C on
but
both.
it's got a C.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You can't spell jork without orc.
Working hard or hardly
They
working?
couldn't think of another.
Like,
Yeah, there we go. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Oh, man. Okay, I think I'm going to pick something different, and we're going to have the, like, town flower of Pearlsfield.
Ooh.
Is I'm gonna say people are actually, at least the common folk in Pearlsfield, are really into clover flowers.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's real popular in the spring, a popular tradition to, like, people love having clover around their houses, and they'll just bring in clover to decorate the windowsills and sprinkle on the table just those little, like, white or purple fuzzy looking buds of clover flowers. Something that kids will bring home for their parents, or like teenagers will confess to their crushes with some clover. It's a little celebration of spring for the
Aw.
common folk of Pearlsfield.
that's cute.
Yeah. It's not really big with the nobles because they want fancy things and clover is everywhere, but for the common folk, the gentry are certainly aware.
They're busy investing in the medieval equivalent of Bitcoin, which is tulip bulbs.
Oh no.
Oh boy, is he. Well, on that note, let's begin Chapter 4 of our Pearlsfield novel. Chapter 4: A Bond of Mistrust. Alrighty, so when we last left off, we were ready to finish the first cycle of play. So in the
snap.
Good Society system, there are different phases, as I'm sure you're aware if you've listened to any episode from this season, but this one. But they are organized into cycles of play, and at the end of a cycle is the upkeep phase.
Upkeep.
That's right. We need to do some tidying up, some spring cleaning before we dive into our next novel phase. So first step is to use any remaining monologue tokens. And since we are all new to this system, no one has used a monologue token.
I forgot they were a thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine. This is a
But
good
I've got
way
a good
to
use
get
for
to
mine
use it.
today.
Do you want to go first then, Dylan? For the audience listening at home, what we're going to do is our players will get to pick who they want to use their monologue token on and what situation they want to go back in time and see the monologue in.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It has to be for an MC, right?
I have an idea.
I think I said it. I don't remember what the rulebook says, but I say it's free for all, whatever character
okay,
you want to hear.
Yeah, I think
I vote that we
you use it to.
give
Go ahead,
the
Sam.
audience a token, and if anyone wants to submit an idea for a monologue, if it's appropriate, we will totally air it. So if you want to hear a monologue from a character or a situation, just send it to us on Facebook or email us at our thing, and you may hear it here on the air.
Find that Facebook chat and email in the doobly-doo.
Do it.
Doobly-doo.
Sorry, I interrupted. Continue.
That was a good idea. But yes.
Well, if
Delon.
I can do anyone at any time, that will change.
I will say, if a player has issue with it, if they want to keep things secret, you can try to
Sure.
bribe them with a resolve token.
Oh yeah. So, our dear Ephraim, I would love to get your insight as to what exactly was going in your inner monologue when Vlad first appeared at your home.
Let's set the scene, shall we? Is Ephraim walking down the dark street away from Vlad and Pierre?
Yeah, I think this would be like post Ephraim inviting Vlad in to stay in his home. What was his name?
Vlad.
De Baguette.
Vlad de Baguette.
Vlad de Baguette and Pierre.
Yeah, Vlad the Bigot.
Well, that was certainly unexpected. Talk about poor timing. I didn't expect Vlad and Pierre to show up for at least another week and a half, but maybe this presents an opportunity. Before anybody has a chance to get too picky, get too suspicious, I could use a good smoke screen. And what better of a smoke screen than possibly the most ostentatious individual I've ever met? Maybe short of Frederick. Perhaps I should get the two of them in a room together sometime. Now that would be entertaining. Note to self. Arrange a party. Get Frederick and Vlad in the same room. Let some sparks fly. Start a few fires. Get a smoke screen going. Note concluded.
Ooh,
Beautiful,
snaps.
beautiful
And
snaps all around. Monologue token well spent.
Absolutely.
Cam, do you want to do the next one? Are you emotionally prepared, or should I pass it off to Sam?
No, I got a good one. We're actually going to use a token on Niles. We want to hear his internal monologue after his conversation with Georgiana
Oh!
from last episode.
From last episode. So which conversation is this? Is this the one
Specifically.
from when she confessed about the money, or is this from the dinner at the Worthingtons?
From the dinner.
Oh, okay.
Oh. What's he that wishes so, my cousin Westmoreland? No, my fair cousin. If we are marked to die, we are not to do our country loss. And if to live the fewer men, the greater share of honor.
This is some theater nerd
Oh,
stuff.
yeah,
I think this is a different monologue.
Very different.
No, Niles is reciting his favorite
Oh,
play,
yeah.
That's
everybody.
what he does when he's nervous.
Yeah, you just cut to Niles like in the like chapel.
That is valid. That is 100% canon now. No, okay. That was
Sam, set us a scene.
Okay.
I'm imagining either he's come back to the dinner table. Am I thinking of the right conversation? Dinner conversation?
There wasn't a big conversation between them at
That
dinner.
was
We didn't talk a
no,
lot.
that was there wasn't really a conversation between him and Georgiana at the dinner. That was the conversation between him and Leapfrog.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about the breakfast?
in the garden.
The breakfast was big.
She visited him at
Yeah.
the church.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you
that
are
was the
thinking of
breakfast.
that one
That's the-
episode or chapter 2. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
chapter
okay,
2.
okay.
All right, well then he is like strolling back, and it is like stereotypical classical romance scene. And by romance, I mean like the classical art movement, not the like stereotypical romance. But like the grass is very green, the flowers are blooming, butterflies are flying by. And he's kind of just a little bit overly pleased with himself in the situation that he's currently in, because I mean, to him, like there's
Speak from his mind. What is he saying to himself?
First person.
okay.
We have now set the scene.
Okay.
He's smiling to himself. Georgiana has rushed ahead to go tend to the father. We see her leaning down to gently take him from the arms of the raccoon that was carrying him away. Was it a raccoon or a possum? Anyway.
It was a raccoon.
And we pan back to Niles, who is walking placidly through the grass. What is he thinking to himself?
Not the raccoon again.
End of monologue.
Okay, oh, there's gonna be a
token well spent.
Oh, geez, she's gorgeous. I mean, those eyes and the hair and the... Okay, calm down. It's fine. It's fine. But first, she's going to marry Frederick. But she might not. But you need to be a good friend. You need to not be Mr. Awkward Niles, who you're very good at being. Oh my gosh, I'm really not good at not being Awkward Niles. What to do next What to do next? I just gotta help her. That's all she wants. I have to be a good friend. And if the author wants something more to happen, then it'll happen if I'm just a good friend. I cannot betray my brother, even though it would annoy my mother, who I would not mind annoying, but I'm not aiming to annoy, technically speaking. Oh my. Did I leave the bread in the oven? No, forget about that. Be a good friend, Niles. I know your heart gets racing and it's fluttery and you feel like butterflies are chasing around your head, but be a good friend first. And, Frederick, maybe Frederick will, find, I don't know, a goat or something. I don't know. He is not the loyal type, and hopefully she'll see that before they get married. And if you have an opportunity, you can do your thing. But you want to make sure you are a good brother and a good friend to her, and at least a passable son to your mother. Oh, I do think I oversteeped the tea, though. Better head back. End scene.
To be fair, Freddy is likely to goof it,
Frederick is nothing if not a goof.
It's true. Well, Sam, you're the last one to spend your token. Where's it going?
Spend it on Georgiana.
Yeah! I want to do that.
When?
Would it...
There's so many options.
Would it spoil my thinking as someone playing Niles to hear Georgiana's thoughts?
Maybe. I'll tell you no. I reserve the right to say no.
Wait, what?
I reserve the right to say no.
Oh, are you saying no?
Oh, it depends on the situation. But also, you could just use it somewhere else and continue to, not have that wonder and that doubt.
And remain blissfully
I'll
unawares.
remain blissfully unawares, because if you were to have... Niles...
This isn't in-game information.
I know, but I love Niles.
Yeah, these are soliloquies.
I don't want
You gotta protect your boy.
I gotta protect my boy. And if he's gonna make a fool of himself, then I need to let him make a fool of himself. I need to not steer him out of it if she's not into him.
I see.
You know?
Yeah.
Although she better not hurt him. I will mess her up, fictionally speaking. No, I want to hear the mother's monologue after the dinner.
Ooh.
Golden.
Nice.
Fantastic. How are we going to set the scene? Should it still be at dinner? Should it be everyone has left?
It's like...
I'm thinking right after the fact.
Yeah.
It's like that scene in the Disney Hunchback of Notre Dame, where it's Frollo by himself, except it's the mother.
Ooh, yes. Dinner has ended. Ephraim and Niles have gone on their way. I imagine Ephraim in a carriage and Niles on foot.
For sure.
Tracks.
I imagine
Literally.
just Ephraim having the carriage go at walking speed so he can just sort of lean out the window and sort of needle Niles some more.
After much time spent in the sitting room with mostly Ephraim and Frederick, I imagine, carrying conversation, Mother had been very quiet, but Frederick and Georgiana have as well gone off to their own beds, and Mother is left alone in the sitting room with the remains of the fire, and she sits straight-backed in her chair, staring into the fire, her hands clasped, her thumbnail digging into her hand. She stares at the fire, and she speaks out loud. Worthington brothers, what was your father's name?
Billups.
It can't be that.
Why not?
No, it has to be.
I was going to let you take it, but then that came out of your mouth.
I mean, you're Frederick T. Worthington the third, so maybe he's
third,
the second.
yeah, so it's probably
But
Frederick.
what if neither of them are actually named after their father?
It's just
all these
a fancy
other
name.
ancestors.
Yeah.
This is there's 3 other grandpas that were Fredericks, but
What if-
they were way back in the line.
What if his name is Swarthy? Swarthy Worthington?
Swarthy Worthington.
Swarthy G. Worthington.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody called him Swarthy G.
What's Frederick's middle initial?
I believe it's T.
T? Okay, we're gonna go with the T name.
Let me check.
We'll just go with
It is T, yes.
Thomas.
Oh.
Thomas.
Thomas.
Can it be something like a twist
Todrick?
on Thomas? Like something... Because it's...
Timotei.
So Thomas could be
Tomas.
or Tom.
Or something totally
Lose
made
the
up.
H. Lose the H, add an accent.
Ooh, are they Latin? No. Okay, never mind.
Where do you think
We're gonna
Worthington
go-
comes from, my dude?
From Tomas.
We're going to go with just Thomas to keep things moving.
Okay.
That's what
fair.
we'll do. So she stares into the fire, she's digging her thumbnail into her hand, and she says out loud to herself, "Well, Thomas, first you left me, and I had finally gotten some semblance of control over all this madness, and now it's gone. You left me with one son who I adore, and can't do anything to keep us afloat, and with one son who is ever a reminder of your failures. And what am I to do? I'm not a true Worthington, just prudence. The lush. I'll find a way. I'll find a way to make this all work. I always have. Haven't I, Thomas?" There's a crack as the last smoldering log breaks into the ashes.
Unsettling.
Oh, she gonna murder Niles.
Especially after that, I'm really picturing her as being like
Cinderella
Gloria
stepmother.
Swanson in Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, man.
See, I was thinking the mom from Arrested Development.
It's a whole different vibe. But close.
Yeah, that's a much more.
That's all our monologue tokens.
We did it. We spent them
Good job,
all.
guys!
Or like Archer's mom.
Now we refresh our monologue tokens. Yay!
Wow,
you
they're
probably
back.
didn't uncheck them, but if you did,
I unchecked
recheck
mine.
it.
I'm unchecking it just so that I can recheck it.
And now you have more idea of when you may enjoy doing that.
Oh, shouldn't our cycle of play tokens
Oh,
also be
yes,
checked?
that's just kind of like to help us keep track of where we're at, which I haven't been doing, and I really should, because it's really useful. Oh, I do have tokens, too! I do have 3 tokens. There's where those are. Okay.
Yeah, they're on top with the facilitator section.
Facilitator
Yeah.
tokens.
Well, next is refreshing the
Resolve?
those tokens. The resolve tokens, correct. And then finally, we progress our inner conflicts, which in the case of this first upkeep is we are just going to establish them.
Where are these?
You can find the beginning of the explanation on page 98. Think about your character. We've all gotten fairly familiar with our boys now. Now we're going to put into words what their inner conflict is so that we can kind of track it and lean into that a bit more. Our connections, we can be like, oh, okay, my connection for this MC can really rattle him with his inner conflict between love versus wealth, family versus independence, acceptance versus revenge are the examples given. But it's always worded in a something versus something versus something sort of way. Could be more specific, more... Well, the easiest way is to put it simply like wealth versus love, rather than in specific examples, such as marrying Geoff versus leaving with Henry for the continent.
Can that be my internal struggle?
We know that's Sam's internal conflict, but we don't know which continent.
Antarctica.
It's just called the continent. There's only one continent, and it's that one.
I think Niles's conflict is pretty straightforward. I put his as duty versus desire, because obviously he has a desire to be with Georgiana, a desire to kind of not hold all the responsibility, but he has a duty to his family, to his town, to his faith, to his brother, and so he's kind of leaning on that, and kind of letting things fall where they may. He's optimistic now, but he's still kind of not... I think he's still letting his duty come before his desire at this point.
You will write that on your character roll sheet, if you printed that out.
I did, and I just wrote it.
Fantastic. I didn't look close enough, and there isn't one of those spots in our digital play sheet, so I'm pulling up the character roll sheets here real quick like.
Do I mark, there's a little list of things, of actions being taken towards one or the other. Do I mark those down as well?
I'm going to double check if we're going to mark those down in this first phase. In the meantime, Dylan or Cam, do you want to talk about your main character's inner conflict?
Yeah, I think I've got a good idea for Ephraim's. Also, if you guys will see, I have updated Ephraim's full name on the character sheet.
Ooh, I want to go see.
Ephraim Johnson?
Ephraim, no list name given. Fantastic.
And I think his inner conflict is literally the truth versus the lie.
Ooh.
And to explain that a little bit without giving too much away, it's who he is versus who he's pretending to be.
When will his reflection show who he is inside?
Such a beautiful song. All right, Dylan.
I think for Frederick, it's reputation versus character.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be it.
Yeah. You know, let's go ahead and do some progressing of our inner conflicts. In a longer game, it may be better to wait until the next cycle of play, but I don't know how many cycles we will get through before we reach the end of our story, so let's go ahead and see if there's any way to progress a little bit. So if you take a look on the character role sheet, you'll see criteria listed. During this last cycle, is it fitting to mark that they have taken one of these actions for either of these sides of the conflict?
So the first one is you took action in pursuit of this. And I think with Niles, he's honestly done both. Because he's not exactly just being the brother-in-law to Georgiana. He is still remaining an intimate friend. He hasn't taken advantage of it yet, but he's walking a finer line than probably what is preferred. Now, obviously, Georgiana's okay with that, and I don't think Freddie notices, necessarily. But I think he is feeding both fires. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Do I mark both?
I'll allow it. You took action in pursuit of this, which is the top tier of the inner conflict actions, and the easiest. Because, dear listener, in case you don't have your PDF of Good Society character role sheets open, the inner conflict actions are: you took action in pursuit of this, you sacrificed something important to you for this, you hurt or pushed away someone important to you for this, you degraded your reputation or went against your conscience for this, which is so fitting for Freddy's, because that's his stuff.
Yep.
And then finally, your actions in pursuit of this side of the conflict destroyed your chance of successfully pursuing the other.
Would it be fair to say that Niles sacrificed something for his duty? The fact that he is still walking that line and being very professional, or would you not qualify that as sacrificing?
I don't see anything he sacrificed yet.
Yeah, not yet.
He has not lost his relationship with Georgia.
I think so. Yeah, definitely took action in pursuit of reputation in a lot of areas. But I think the big one here is the hurt or push someone away important to you for the reputation. When I stood up our morning meeting, yeah,
I would say that Ephraim definitely took action in pursuit of the lie, and I also feel like inviting a sketchy character like Vlad into his abode would probably represent degrading his reputation in pursuit of the lie.
All right, I'll allow it. For each checked box, add a resolve token.
Ooh.
You should have refreshed to 2. When we refresh, you get 2 tokens, or go up to 2 tokens from wherever you were. And then you get 2 more. Spend those bad boys.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Nice.
Don't forget, this is like big things, which I know is not... We're already very collaborative, but you can make new things
kind of force
happen
some
in the
stuff.
world
Yeah.
that I would normally control. So if you're like, actually, I think the adventuring party should show up right now. Spend a resolve token. It's done.
Niles would like to explode Ephraim's head.
Oh no.
Well, that's going to require a negotiation with Cam.
Ephraim would like his head not to be exploded.
I'm just joking.
Fantastic.
Love you, Cam. That was not an attack on Cam.
Niles is like, no deal.
I can imagine just Howie Mandel standing in front of Ephraim. Now, Ephraim, the banker is offering 4 resolve tokens for you to blow out your own head. Deal or no
A stick of
deal?
dynamite. Tempting offer.
There's the whole crowd silent except for now.
It's a heck of an offer,
Deal,
Howie.
make the deal.
With our upkeep finished and tidy, let's go into the novel phase of our second cycle of play. And in this novel phase, we'll be having an event. And the event is, of course, Ephraim's party, having managed to change some plans of the dear Lord Leapfrogs. He warmly suggested and warmly opened his home to many of the local gentry. Who is on the invitation list, Ephraim?
Who is on it? Well, so the Leapfrogs,
Of course,
obviously, because he sent those letters to them. His dear friend Freddie, of course. Niles, because Niles is, as we know, in business with the Leapfrogs currently.
Plus,
or
how are you
in
going to rub anything in his
negotiations with
face?
the
Man?
Leapfrogs.
Ooh, am I Lord Niles now? I think based on the last session, I am Lord Niles, aren't
Yeah. Lord Niles.
Lord Niles Worthington.
Would he invite Prudence?
I think it would be viewed as an insult if you didn't invite her.
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not a
And he
small
would-
gathering of just friends. Like, you're not close with the Leapfrogs,
Right.
so to not invite the whole family.
True. So, and also, once again, putting Prudence and the Leapfrogs in the same room is
Yep.
just more layers of distraction.
You're just eating everything up.
Yeah. Vlad, Pierre is not like invited,
He is a
but he's
manservant.
obviously
He'll be around
he's
helping.
obviously just like standing directly behind Vlad at all times.
Oh yeah, for sure. He has his own
Kind of
little,
picturing Pierre as like Woodhouse from Archer.
Yes.
It's just like a ridiculously old
Yeah.
French butler.
Is Georgiana on the list?
Yes, Georgiana's on the list. Of course, she would be coming with Freddie.
What about the Nickelbacks? Your neighbors?
Not on the list.
Further down the
Yeah,
street?
his neighbors, the Nickelbacks. I feel like he would, because that couple, the dwarf and elf couple that Vlad.
The dwarf and question mark. I realized I said furball, and then later said bugbear, which was my original intention. But since it's so
Right.
inconsistent, we're gonna go with no one knows what Mr. McPherson is. He's just really furry.
Furboy.
He's just a
just like a
furry
tribble.
guy.
He's just,
He's a man in a
They-
person.
yeah.
He looks more like a werewolf than Vlad de Baguette, but somehow he is not the werewolf.
oh no.
Right. Were they weren't necessarily nobility on the level of everybody else, right? They were more just like innocent bystanders.
They were gentry. They were wealthy, well-to-do folks of Pearlsfield, but the Worthingtons are like the top of the food chain in Pearlsfield, and the
elite
Leapfrogs
class.
are top of the food chain over where they're from. They're just here for the season, apparently.
Yeah. I feel like as an apology to them for Vlad's draining their blood, he would invite them
but
as
then
well.
sit them directly
as,
next to Vlad.
He's like, who
Yeah,
can
he's
I
arranging-
invite to make drama?
Right. Right, exactly. It's the opposite of the way you normally make a seating chart. Normally when you're arranging a seating chart, your goal is to put people next to people that you think they would get along well with. Not when you're Ephraim. When you're Ephraim, you do the exact
Ooh,
opposite.
Fantastic.
would Father Twinkletoes be there?
Yes, his high, it'd just be like a high chair next to Niles. Yeah, he would be on Niles's
Lap.
right, and Prudence would be on Niles's
oh,
left,
joy! Thank you so much.
and across from Freddie.
Nice. Is Georgiana seated by Freddie?
Georgiana would be seated.
You can't sit
I
next to
think it
your
would be
wife.
like Ephraim is
ain't
at
married
the
That's true.
Ephraim is at the head of the table, followed by Freddie, Georgiana. Freddie's directly across from Prudence. Georgiana's directly across from
Who's
Niles.
even better?
Can we just take a moment to appreciate the absolute Austinian genius that is having a seating chart on a podcast
Get out your paper, listeners.
and how it really works somehow for this.
Then, so what did we say? Georgiana is across from Niles. Next to Georgiana is Vlad,
Gosh,
who is across from.
I can't wait to see that interaction.
Father Twinkletoes.
Yeah, Vlad is across from Father Twinkletoes, and then next to Vlad is Mr. McPherson.
Vlad is just like leaning back in his chair, like recoiling as far as possible. Like someone who has a really bad stomach bug at the dinner table. He's like, I don't know. Like he's trying not to be, like trying to get away from the father.
Mr. McPherson is also leaning very far away from Vlad. He's a very furry man, but somehow it looks like he's sweating. And then the three Nickelback sisters.
He's just
are
panting
all...
at the table.
Yeah.
Can I voice
Nickelback
the
sisters.
Mr. McPherson?
Furson.
McPherson.
The Nickelback sisters
and
are all
then-
like with knives like, stabbed into the table, like glaring and foaming at the mouth.
All their hair accoutrements are just like knives that are been
Knives!
hidden in their hair.
Yeah.
They seem to be wearing very like bright metallic clothes, and there's just a bunch of knives concealed all over. Like
This is quite the party.
Yeah, and then
Agatha is
followed
not
by...
invited, correct?
Who's Agatha?
Our aunt.
is she
Oh.
ever?
Ephraim has not been introduced to Agatha, so I
No,
don't
but she'll
know.
crash the party, don't worry.
And then the sort of less important lower half of the table is the mixture of the Leapfrogs, the Nickelbacks. I think that was everybody we listed, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I guess Lord Leapfrog would be at the opposite end of the table
Opposite
from
head.
Ephraim.
I just imagine
And then
his
you'd have the-
huge frog mouth opening with the bushy mustache, and his tongue just like flicks out and takes something off the fork.
Jar Jar style.
No.
But he like politely
now-
cuts
every-
and picks things up with the fork and just blah.
Yeah.
Don't.
Every now and then his little like frog neck expands and just gently like nudges his chair back away from the table.
What a vibe.
Yeah, so that's the seating chart, but for a second I did entertain the idea of Ephraim making Niles sit at the kids' table.
How's it like
can't-
being 10?
But no, I like
Sucks? Yeah. Yeah.
this idea better. I like forcing Niles to be amongst the people who make him the most uncomfortable of anybody in the whole world.
Right after the apology letter, too, man.
Yes, from the other end of the table, Tiana Leapfrog, who has a thin blonde hair, which is pulled back in a tail, but she's also a frog person, a much slimmer, almost like a bit gaunt in the face for a frog person.
It's like it's
Upturned nose.
the World of Warcraft rule where the the males of all of the horde races are hideous monsters and the females of all of the horde races are extremely attractive women with odd facial features.
Not in this case. She is still just like a frog. She just looks.
She's just a smaller frog.
She's not like slim and pretty. She's like. She looks like she
Like,
hasn't been.
unsettlingly so.
No,
Yeah.
she's not quite unsettling.
Okay.
She just looks like she hasn't been sleeping well. Like,
Okay.
she's seen better days. She is thinner because she's younger, and just smaller, but she doesn't. She looks sad.
I picture Lord Leapfrog as being more built like a
Bulbous.
bullfrog, and Tiana is built more like a tree frog.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. She's got some cute little, like, splotchy freckles, frog freckles. Which she tries to cover with makeup because gentry or whatever. But she is occasionally passing glances down the table towards Niles. Not that Niles is noticed.
This is
or
my
anything.
master stroke.
He's just making the Jim face to the camera.
How are things going over dinner? The first event of the party for Niles.
I'm going to take a page out of my own book, and when I'm somewhere I don't want to be, he's just kind of saying, yeah, uh-huh, mm-hmm, cool, and kind of like nodding and smiling and kind of just zoned out, kind of like, yeah, Dylan's kind of making the face perfectly, which works really well out over
Yeah,
this audio
he's like-
medium. But he's kind of just stirring it, and every once in a while, like, throwing kind of a funny glance to Georgiana, like, because they're friends, like, they're actually friends who've actually
Yeah.
spent time. So he is, like, I think that thing where you're with a bunch of people and kind of making, like, subtle inside jokes to your friend when you're awkward. He's doing that.
Yeah.
Freddie's just talking endlessly about any of his travels to anyone that will listen.
Freddie, you and Georgiana, I think the energies kind of distant.
Oh, it's off. It's
Yeah.
off.
Yeah,
Y'all aren't really talking to
Vibe
each
is
other.
off.
No.
You didn't really talk at the last dinner. She's been busy with business. You've been busy with business.
Business.
With quote unquote business.
It's all business.
Golden
Business in air
parachutes.
quotes.
Yeah, y'all aren't really talking.
No, it's a little. Yeah, I'm just like doing what I would normally do if she weren't there.
I feel like he's talking across her to
Oh yeah.
the leapfrog, to like Lord Leapfrog or somebody.
Literally anyone who will take like and give me
Yeah.
any attention.
Yeah, he's literally like talking past her, trying
Yeah.
to make deals with the influential people at the table.
Ephraim, what are you doing? When the Nickelback sisters, the two younger Nickelback sisters, are not glaring daggers, literal or figurative, at Vlad de Baguette, their attention is all on you.
What vibe is their attention giving off?
Well, with the rumor that you are a prince from a foreign land, the vibe is that you're a prince from a foreign land.
The vibe is that
Okay,
you're an
yeah.
eligible bachelor.
Ephraim is definitely stoking that vibe.
It's very like tee hee hee hee, like the
Yeah.
prince. Except they never say the prince.
Yeah.
Could be weird.
And when their hands are supposed to like go all like a flutter, they just have knives in them. Like, oh, the prince.
Just like shuriken, like between each finger.
Ephraim is sort of just like talking, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? He's sort of like talking about how this dish is something that he first tried in such and such faraway land, and like, kind of, God, I cannot think
I've
of the
been
word
there.
that I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
He's humble bragging about his travels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's humble bragging about
Meanwhile,
like,
Freddy is just bragging.
yeah.
Yes. From the other end of the table, Lord Leapfrog kind of like his mustache flutters, and he says, yes, I believe I've visited the Anna Kendrick family there one time. Have you had the pleasure of making their acquaintance?
Yes, the New Hampshire Anna Kendricks.
Yes, the island
Yes,
the coastal city of New Hampshire.
New
I forgot about
Hampshire.
this joke till right now.
We get a flashback to Ephraim tossing a newspaper clipping into the fire, and the portrait of a beautiful mermaid woman and a strangely accurately detailed face of a handsome man slowly burning until only the face and hot Joffrey Schmezos are left in the fire.
This is amazing.
And then we flash back to Ephraim, who's smiling pleasantly.
Yeah, under the table, he's just like bending a fork, just with one hand.
I would like to spend a resolve token, if I may, to have Aunt Agatha knock at the door.
Fantastic. Do you have any servants other than Pierre, like, serving in your house? Ephraim?
Rats in a
Yeah, I think there would
rats
be
in
a
a trench coat.
Also borrowed
Yeah,
from
I
Vlad.
I think there would be a couple of just like,
Like almost serving
you know what, I
bowls.
would say in one instance of Ephraim maybe not being as competent as he lets on, is servants are clearly like not highborn or even like highborn adjacent. They look sort of rough for
What if
ostensibly
Krusty
the servants
is
of
one of
a
them? Sam, you want to play
gosh.
Krusty?
Yeah. Kind of opens the door.
Oh my!
Who are you?
How dare I am related to like half the people in this
He
establishment.
closes the door.
The
Opens
thumping can
again.
be heard from the dining room.
And Agatha Dankworth.
Oh.
you hear
I'll announce
Ephraim-
myself.
Ephraim kind of like
Good to
cranes his
see you. And
neck
he
up.
kind
He's
of
like,
goes in for a hug.
Nope, absolutely not.
Ephraim kind of cranes his neck up around from the dining room. He's like, Crustford, who is it at the door?
Someone.
And Agatha Dankworth.
Who are you?
How many times
Did I just hear
I
Dankworth?
push past him and just walk into the dining room.
There's a clatter as Prudence's fork drops.
And as she walks into the dining room, a bunch of rats in a trench coat kind of are following her with the energy of a servant who's like, no, please, you mustn't go in there. But like the rats are just like...
the sleeves are kind of like just limply waving.
It's just like sticking out one of the sleeves, flailing its little paws.
Yeah. I just imagine that they're just like, they're the most highborn acting of the servants.
But they can only squeak.
I'm just trying to picture the rats in a
He's
trench
broken us all.
Oh man, I'm trying to picture the rats in a trench coat opening a door.
Yeah.
They reach the sleeve out and a rat pokes out and grabs the door handle with both of its little rat hands and just turns the door.
Like throws its whole body to turn.
They lose one or two every time they open the door.
Falls out of the coat holding the door handle.
They're so cute.
I'm laughing too hard to come up with a good name for the rats in a trench coat butler.
Ratsworth.
No.
Ratigan.
Ratigan, yeah!
This is the world's
Ratigan.
greatest
Yeah.
butler.
Ratigan.
We found it.
Please tell,
Crusty.
He was a gift from Vlad like a decade ago.
please tell me that like the kitchen is literally just that scene from Ratatouille.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ratigan's been here the whole time, but like more rats are here now because Vlad showed up with more rats.
Yep.
Yeah. Vlad showed up with like a what was Dracula's servant's name? Renfield. There's just like a single There's just like a single Renfield type guy who can talk to the rats.
It's
who's
Pierre.
just
That's
like,
Pierre.
Yeah, it's Pierre.
Yeah, Pierre's an old French man who can inexplicably talk to rats.
Yeah, you don't
and
ask questions.
Organize them.
He multi-classed into druid.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, his animal companion is a rat swarm, just like direct from the monster manual.
Oh boy. So back into the scene.
Yeah, Agatha pushes past everybody. Yeah.
The
Little fingies.
You know, Ratigan was once servant to the Rat King himself. Cut away to like a Rat King where the tails are all like knotted together.
Helga and Vengeance are there going, huh? Did that episode ever air with the Rat King? Yeah, with the Rat
Has it
King.
come out yet?
I don't think it did. That was the boat episode, right?
Yeah. I feel like that was number 2.
That
I
was
think
the-
that one's still on deck.
Is it?
That's
Oh,
that's
shoot.
the lost Thelka and Vengeance episode where our audio got out of sync.
Oh, brutal.
But anyway, back to the scene. What is
Agatha bursts in and says, "Prudence, how could you not have thought to bring me?"
quick? What does Aunt Agatha look like?
Oh, yeah, she is like a very thin, like probably 60-ish woman, heavily make-upped.
It makes her look older. She's elvish.
Yeah, it
She
doesn't
shouldn't
help
look
to.
old.
She would look great without it, but she thinks that's what she has to do for it. Yeah.
I'm picturing her wearing one of those like fancy hats.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like made out of a bird. Like it's a
Just a bird.
There's feathers
Like-
galore.
Yeah, it's a taxidermy
Peacock.
like
Yeah.
peacock.
Yeah, no, I believe that. She has like one of those long cigarettes that
Yes.
she smokes. Yeah. So she comes barging through.
Does she have a little dog
like,
in a purse? Is that too much?
Not quite. It's close. But
kind of like Katharine Hepburn.
There is
towards
a
the
rat
end,
in her
right?
purse now.
yeah. Right when she was starting to go downhill. You know, it's
I want
like,
some bran.
There's not a dog in her purse, but there is a rat in her purse because Ratigan like reached out to try and grab her and stop her, but it just pulled the poor rat that was being the hand
clinging
away
to her,
from the rest
her
of the
little
group.
handbag.
It is one of the like nicest bags though, like top notch designer, like Pearlsfield cotton, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, it's a Pearlsfield
But-
Birkin.
yes.
But I feel like the rest of the show, she has to keep the rat thinking it's a chihuahua.
It's like an overly large rat. It's fine.
That's what all the rats are. They're all fairly large.
Yeah.
But yes, she bursts in and says, once again,
Yeah, how could you not have thought to invite me, Prudence?
Ephraim chimes in and is like clearly interest piqued, like he's unbent the fork under the table. Like this is the best opportunity yet. It's like, yes, Prudence, how could you not have introduced me to your
my
Of course,
Sister?
sister, Agatha.
well,
I'm at all the
well,
parties
Miss
around
Dankworth,
town.
you're more than welcome to join us for dinner. I apologize.
Thanks so much, dear boy. You're Freddy's friend, aren't you?
I am, yes.
Remind me of your name again.
Oh, my name is Ephraim.
Ephraim. Oh, wonderful to hear. Thank you. Niles, move, please.
Gladly. And he kind of like gets up and says,
Ephraim-
"Oh, wait, outside."
And she goes and sits
like-
where he was sitting.
Ratigan like pulls out the chair for them, and the rat that was clinging to her purse like scuttles up the back of the chair and back into the opening of the trench coat.
Amazing. As Niles goes to leave the room, there's a disturbance in the dining room, certainly. And Tiana moves to stand, and Lord Leapfrog says, Are we adjourning to the sitting room? Addressed to Ephraim.
And Ephraim's
You know, that sounds like a wonderful idea, Lord Leapfrog.
Well, I'm just going to eat real quick, and I'll join you in a minute.
just scoops the entree into
Of
her
course.
purse.
And then moves another plate in front of her.
Yeah, she just like grabs a fistful of half-eaten like lasagna or something.
Agatha.
Ephraim is just like this, kind of crooks a single eyebrow and then shrugs and just.
Prudence has picked up her fork and sets it down in front of her and says, Yes, I believe my sister and I are overdue for a conversation.
You could say that, yeah.
Vlad leans over.
Georgiana stands up and she's moving on with the rest of the folks.
Vlad kind of follows Georgiana and says, "If you like, you look like quite a beautiful lady. Would you like to go and sit in the, comment dit-on, sitting room?"
Oh,
The what?
I beg your pardon. I am betrothed. I do.
Oh, no,
want you to be
mais
aware.
oui, you mistake me. No. Pardon. Where I am from, we are not hesitant to compliment a beautiful lady.
A what?
A beautiful lady.
That was even less decided. But I suppose my accent may be as well to find folks who are-
Ephraim
So,
sort of
real fast, before you continue,
Yeah, go ahead.
we are playing in a D&D starter town, aren't we?
Yeah.
And he is a vampire, isn't he?
No, of course not.
No, you're right. Can I use
My
a
mistake.
resolve token? And you can choose how to resolve this. He's gonna cast Charm, which is a D&D spell that vampires would have that he would totally try on Georgiana.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. I don't have any dice. I mean, you spend the resolve token.
Not for it to work, just for him to use it. Like I'm.
Yeah, to use the... Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if
He's
it's
opening up
It's a natural
negotiations.
ability he has. I don't even know if it would cost a resolve token
Yeah.
because he's not. I'm not gonna force the success because I think it.
Yeah.
If you,
As the facilitator, how do you think this situation would?
I think,
would
Sam,
unfold.
if you see some fun possibilities for shenanigans for our main characters, then yes, you can spend the resolve token
To make it succeed.
to make it succeed. Yeah.
What do you guys vote?
I'm down.
Yeah.
Okay, he succeeds.
Let's see where this goes.
All right.
It's an excellent way. You know what? I am also going to spend a resolve.
Now we're spinning them all over the place.
Let's go.
I'm going to spend a resolve token to make sure that Niles specifically sees Vlad.
Oh, shoot.
Like he sees like whatever, like vampire
flicker of the
glow
eye.
in his eyes, and he sort of sees Georgiana's demeanor change ever so slightly, which he would recognize as somebody who is obsessed
And Freddy
with
is
Georgiana.
oblivious.
Oh, that Niles notices? Oh,
Yeah, Niles
no.
notices him working some kind of charm effect over Georgiana,
Oh, crap.
thus necessitating him
this
to
dinner just got much more
reinsert himself
interesting.
into
This is
the
gonna
party.
be fun.
So he realizes it as a charm spell.
Yeah.
Just have some
He-
sort of
I
like
don't-
weird effect. Yeah. Mhm.
He sees Vlad's eyes glow momentarily, and he sees Georgiana's.
She goes from like kind of leaned away, very closed off, to like her eyes flutter and her demeanor opens, and now she's
Yeah, body
smiling at
language changes.
him and
Yeah.
giggling as they walk into the room. He offers his arm and she takes it.
And as they do that, they're all walking out, and Niles like kind of panics and kind of scuttles over to Frederick and kind of like, Frederick! And he kind of grabs Frederick's arm. He was like,
What? I was telling a story. What?
don't you think you ought to be with your betrothed?
Oh, of course.
Yes,
of course.
don't you
yes,
notice?
Yes. No,
and he kind
how
of
could
goes
I-
to a low whisper, don't you notice how she and Vlad are getting very, very uncomfortably close? Doesn't it make you angry?
Vlad gets uncomfortably close to everybody.
That close?
Ephraim just like appears next to the two of them. He's like, yes, Vlad does tend to get uncomfortably close to most people.
And then Ratigan comes up and kind of shrugs and goes,
But you are right, and of course I should. It is my duty as betrothed. Yeah, I'll go. Yes.
yes, please do. And he's going to be monitoring her very carefully while I look up the priest spells from 5e.
That'd be cleric.
He's not a cleric. He's a priest because he's not a full-on. He would be an NPC. So.
It's a NPC class, yeah.
As Niles and Freddy sort of walk away, Ephraim, the audience, were they to be viewing this in the form of a visual medium, sees Ephraim whisper something to Ratigan once they're the only two left in the room. Ratigan, did you get a look at what was in Agatha's purse? Facilitator, translation.
Dylan, what was in the purse?
I guess Pierre, translation.
Oh, there is literally there's a bottle of alcohol in the purse.
A little bottle?
No, like a full bottle.
Like a handle.
Yeah, like a full fifth. In addition to a bunch of like little drawings of various men around town.
A little portraits.
Just creepy drawings.
Yeah.
Ephraim's just like, huh. The whole Lush thing must run in the family. It's like, Ratigan, see what you can find on the personages of some of our other illustrious guests, will you?
Which
Ratigan
Ratigan responds,
Me.
Thank you.
and he does that thing when the stuff in the trench coat, like the legs move forward first and the body kind of goes, whoa.
It's just like,
Exactly.
So it's just Agatha and Prudence at the table.
Mm-hmm. And we're gonna leave them and go to the sitting room where the action is.
Ephraim's like, as Ratigan shambles away, and Ephraim's like the only person left, trailing behind everybody else. He's like, can't believe I ever questioned the usefulness of 5 dozen rats in a trench coat. And then he just follows everybody into the sitting room.
Ephraim, what does your sitting room look like?
I would imagine it's very well appointed, especially since we've got such a large group of guests. There's Baroque furniture. It's decked out in luscious red velvet. There's, of course, a large fireplace.
Where he burns his newspaper clippings, yes.
Yes. It's like the medieval version of getting an expensive computer just for Facebook. It's like having a huge fireplace just so you can burn pieces of paper. But yeah, he obviously has his own chair, which is now turned away from the fireplace and towards the center of the room instead. I'm not sure who he would have a portrait of.
He just got the house. He's got a has he commissioned a portrait of himself?
No, he would not have a portrait of himself. He is many things.
Ostentatious is not one. Yeah.
Well, definitely ostentatious. Let's not be silly. He's not narcissistic. If there's one thing he isn't, it's narcissistic. There's a portrait above the fireplace of young man and young woman. Let's say not young man, young woman, but early teens. It's hard to say who they are.
Perhaps a sister of Ephraim that we don't know about?
I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to say. If you were to ask Ephraim about it, he would say, it came with the house. I haven't found a suitable replacement for it yet. It came with the frame.
The stock photo.
It's just the stock photo.
Yeah.
Well, as the guests are mingling about the room, Georgiana is laughing and giggling as Vlad says some joke. Freddie, what are you doing to try to...
It's a joke that does not translate right.
Translate. It's not funny. It just sounds like weird French noises.
That's the best joke of all. Freddie comes in the room and sees them kind of chatting. He's like, I guess he is uncomfortably close, isn't he? Yeah.
Vlad yawns and puts his arm around.
Niles was right. This is making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I slipped to put my arm, I put my body where his arm was going.
Smooth.
Oh, hi, good to see you, Vlad.
Leave room for the author.
That's what Niles would
true.
say.
How goes, Vlad?
It goes very, very well.
Oh, glad to hear. I haven't seen you since, when was the last time we had our big throwdown at Ephraim's place?
Can he cast Charm again?
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, what's he got on Frederick?
Yes.
I like this house
spend the
rule.
token.
You'll have to negotiate
Yeah, I like-
with Dylan.
Yeah, I like
Give
this
me a
house
token.
rule that we've come up with where instead of rolling dice to cast D&D spells, you spend resolve tokens.
Yeah.
Just
To cast
give me,
magic.
give me a token, I'll let it happen.
Okay. Do know that as Niles is the only person who can dispel this. Actually, I guess the father could. Okay, yeah, you can have 2. Yeah, you can have 1.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, it's been... Oh, yeah, no, it's been lovely to see you, man.
Absolutely. Why didn't you sit on the other side of me?
Oh, of course, yes.
I just imagine Niles is like looks over and on a couch on either side of Vlad are Freddy and Georgiana, and he has his arms around both of them. And if this were like an old-timey cartoon, he'd be nodding, and slowly phasing in would be like one of those like lobster eating bibs, you know?
Oh, yeah.
With like a vampire teeth on it, and Niles just like shakes his head and is like, "Oh, great."
Okay. Niles is developing a cunning plan, but while he's doing that, what else is happening?
I feel like Ephraim's going to have to notice this at some point, too.
Oh, Ephraim absolutely notices.
Yeah.
He notices, and he kind of looks at Niles, and he's just like, kind of leaned back in his chair. And he's just like, just shrugs.
For the listener, he shrugs with a concerning amount of indifference.
Right. With sort of a mischievous, kind of face.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, that's the subtext of his body language to Niles is you gonna do something about this? What you got, buddy? Your move.
You set this trap for yourself.
What are the leapfrogs doing? Because I imagine, like, Niles is on one side of the room, everyone else in the party is in the center, and then on the far side is the couch, the love seat, with the vampire and the 2 people on it.
Not vampires.
Oh, yeah,
Vlad.
that's right. He's just a human.
No.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a man.
What about the
Ephraim
Nickelbacks?
is
What are they doing right
directly
now?
across from the entrance.
I think the oldest Nickelback, who I think I named Penny. I don't remember who had which name. I remember Penny and Gilda, and a third metal-related name.
Platinum.
The oldest.
It's a great name.
The oldest of the Nickelbacks, who is courting or being
Wait,
courted by.
we got
Quartz.
Penny, which is pennies are made of copper. Gilda, obviously related to gold. What's a silver-related name?
Sylvia?
I would suggest Agatha, but that name is already
Sylvia.
spoken for.
Sylvia.
Sylvia,
We'll
there we
just go
go.
with Sylvia. Maybe there's a 4th sister, and we'll remember the name later. Penny, who Mr.
Too
McPherson.
many characters in this season.
There's so many characters. Miss Penny and Mr. McPherson are sitting on a seat near the trio, and Penny is like glaring and seems to be plotting something about Vlad, while Mr. McPherson just looks very uncomfortable. He looks like a scared dog. Looks very nervous. And then the other 2 are with Tiana Leapfrog and are approaching Ephraim.
What is the father doing? What is...
That's you, Dylan. What's the father doing?
I'm thinking.
I mean, he's probably just like in a chair, isn't he? If he did get,
probably literally
Yeah,
just.
he's
did he get forgotten in the dining room?
I think he's still at the chair at the table, just like eating unaware.
Niles is like, wait a minute, did I forget the father? And then the raccoon comes past him carrying the father.
Oh, no.
Or no, it's not the raccoon. Ratigan comes in,
Ratigan.
except that it's like
Just
part
sits
of
him down.
Ratigan. He's just being like carried by a little trail
Also
of rats.
on the couch.
Oh, no. Okay. He's going to be like, Ephraim? A word?
Of course, Niles. What can I do for you?
He's going to bring him out into the hallway. And holy crap, I had never read through the priest stat block in 5e, and he has some good spells. So let's have fun. He pulls out his it's like a spirit sword. What is that called?
What?
Spiritual weapon.
Spiritual weapon. and it's just like an over-the-top anime sword, like way too big, like.
It's like an 8-foot long katana, like a Sephiroth sword from.
So as soon as he closes the door behind him, they're like in the dark hallway of the banner, and it goes from like a gentle pulling, where Niles kind of shoves Ephraim in front and pulls out like the just like the big thing and just kind of sets it down, and he can barely lift it up, but he's like, okay, what the?
It's made of energy too, so.
Oh, is it light?
It's made of energy, spiritual energy,
it's like
but it's still too heavy for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The blade looks like the feather of a quill a little bit.
Oh, that's cool. Well, he hasn't used this in a while.
That's in character. He says that, like he's never actually summoned it before, so he doesn't.
There's never
know
been a
what it
need.
looks like.
Okay, I don't know what's happening with your weird friend and whatever he's doing to the couple, the happy, at least up till 5 minutes ago couple, but you better stop it now.
Oh, you know Vlad. He is incorrigible, but it must be said he's never really a drain on the proceedings.
He kind of
he
cuts off Ephraim, goes like ah, and he kind of swings the sword like I imagine Ephraim just like ducks and it misses and like leaves a hole in the wall or something.
Yeah.
It passes through the wall without causing any damage.
Oh.
Right.
I imagine that I wanted to like go through and then just cut to the father in like a random room with just a hole in the wall, or rats.
Oh, that's actually
good.
It passes harmlessly through the wall, disappointing to you. But on the other side in the dining room, the top of of Father Phineas Twinkletoes' hat just slides off.
I was gonna say, like the top of his little mitre hat like slides off, and like the single hair on Lord Leapfrog's head just like falls off, like just a bunch of like back in the dining room, one of the bird's wings on the top of Agatha's hat just falls limp like that.
Continue your conversation.
Careful with that, you might scratch up. Ephraim's like, careful with that, you might scratch up the. He looks back at the wall. He's like, oh, well, careful with that, anyways.
Yeah, as they both look around the wall,
what do you want me to do about
it? A
it?
little bit shocked that it didn't cause damage. He's like, huh, go figure. Like,
now, what do you want me to do about it?
you need to stop it somehow.
Niles, aren't you a lord now?
Yes, kind of. Until my brother gets married, kind of.
So, do lords typically go around begging for help from other people?
Clearly, you've never worked in the ministry.
Clearly, I have not. If you want to do something about Vlad, you have to take matters into your own hands, Niles. The entire time I've known you, you've always been the little brother. It's time to act like a lord.
And the sword kind of dissipates as Niles kind of slumps over.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have guests to entertain. And Ephraim, like, straightens out his collar.
As he turns to go back in, before he was able to open the door, he says, "You want me to do it with my own hands?" And he kind of reaches inside his pocket and kind of grabs out a petite little stick that is his wand. He says, "Oh, I'll take it into my own hands." And he kind of puts the wand to his head and draws out a little, almost like a glowing silvery string, because he's casting a spell called Encode Thoughts.
Is this a pensieve?
Yeah, he's basically doing a pensieve is what the spell is.
Okay.
And he kind of like whips it over at Ephraim, and the string harmlessly wraps around him, but as it does, it flashes a memory as though Ephraim were there present and witnessing it. And what it shows is that one time where Niles caught Ephraim. What does Ephraim see?
Oh, snap.
What does Ephraim see?
This also feels like a resolve token.
Oh, okay.
It's causing him to remember. It's not really causing him to do anything or causing any
That's
big
fair.
No.
things. I think I'll let this one go because I like it.
It's basically he's basically making him relive.
Yeah,
the
rather than
memory.
describe it, we're showing, not telling.
Which is tough in a podcast. But we know
This is
the core of what happened is that what did Ephraim do to hurt the family?
That Frederick is not aware
Right.
of, but Niles
That he
is.
betrayed Niles especially.
right. Okay, I got it. This is literally just bolt out of the blue.
Heck yeah.
we're reliving a memory from back in the city, right around probably a month or so after Ephraim first met Frederick and Niles. And for the last month since they met, Ephraim and Freddie have been partying it up. Or rather, Freddie has been partying it up, being egged on by Ephraim. They're at a sort of, I'm picturing it like an off-track betting type of establishment, betting on some fantasy version of horse racing or dog racing or something
racing.
like that.
It involves all kinds of strange, fantastical creatures racing.
Right. Blink dog racing.
Ooh, yes, we're going with that.
Through, like plying with liquor and egging him on and being the bestie, Ephraim has convinced Frederick to place a substantial bet on a really long odds dog. We'll say this dog's name is Lasty. And after the races ended and Lasty obviously came second to last, Niles is looking for the bathroom and stumbles across Ephraim talking to the bookie that he recalls seeing Frederick place the bet with. And the bookie is passing off a pretty significant percentage of the bet that Frederick placed directly to Ephraim, who is pocketing it himself.
And I imagine that Ephraim did not know that Niles saw this until just now.
Okay, yeah.
And so the memory kind of flashes before your eyes now from Niles' perspective, and then you're back to the hallway.
Ephraim, he stops. He's turned away from Niles. His shoulders kind of slump a little bit, and he turns to Niles, but he doesn't really look as concerned or shocked as Niles would have hoped. It's like, oh, Niles, you should have told me. And then he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a letter with a familiar seal on it. It's the seal that Niles uses to seal his letters. It's like, I guess I shouldn't have to tell you what this is and what it might do to your dear brother if he were to read the contents of this letter.
How did you get that?
Oh, I have my ways here and there, as you've just seen.
I think Niles is still pointing the wand at Ephraim and kind of just frozen.
Now that we've established a bond of mistrust, shall we return to the party, Niles?
Do we have any other cool spells?
He pulls out a little pamphlet.
He pulls out a prayer book and starts reading through it.
Yeah. He kind of...
The Book of Uncommon.
Oh, no. It's after a moment, they're both kind of just standing there, and Niles kind of regains his composure and walks towards the door, and you see the thaumaturgy just push Ephraim against the wall. Not hurting, but just kind of a shove, but just done with a force of wind.
Yeah, just Ephraim just thumps against the door frame, and he just slides the letter back into his pocket, straightens himself up, and he's like, "That's it, Niles. Show a little backbone." And he follows him into the sitting room.
I imagine we see both these, as we watch Ephraim from the back step into the sitting room, we hear a jaunty tune start playing on the piano, and laughter filter out of the door as we pan away from Ephraim's home. Ending Chapter 4.
Oh, man. What drama.
Hey everybody, Cam here. Thanks for listening to Minions and Misfits. If you like what you heard, don't forget to check out our socials. The links are down in the description. And please, leave us a review on whatever app you use to listen to your podcast. It'll help us reach more people who can enjoy the episode that you just listened to. See you next time.